Testing, testing.
Really? My granddaughter's May 1st. Oh, there you go. You'll never forget. Okay, should we begin? I think we should. This is the Community and Economic Development Committee. I'm Councilmember Pam Foley, and I have a full team of council members up here today, and I'd like to welcome Councilmember Batra, who is brand new to this committee. We are also working with new technology, and this is my first time at the helm, so if I don't know what I'm doing, bear with me. I'll just try and figure it out. So with that, I do have a little introduction that I need to give. Before we begin, I want to remind the committee members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes commenting on the specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in conversation with the council members or staff. All members of the committee, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the CED will now come to order, and will the clerk please take roll?
Batra.
Present.
Ortiz.
Present.
Kamei.
The videos.
Here.
Torres.
Present.
And Foley.
Here. Okay, and because I don't know what I'm doing when you wait, if council members could all raise their hand, that may, I mean, we'll figure it out. All right, moving on. We do not have, we are not reviewing the work plan, nor do we have a consent calendar, so we're going to move right into the reports from the committee. And I understand, this is the Economic Development Activities Report. This is a quarterly report that we receive. And Elizabeth Handler has since retired, so we have Blage filling in temporarily, I understand. Welcome.
I thank you very much, Madam Chair and committee.
It's Nancy. You're not Blog A.
I'm going to shortly introduce Blog A and thank you. I just wanted to say how great it is to be here with a full committee, and that I just wanted to make sure we all, the public and the council, knew the purpose is to give an overview quarterly of trends, happenings, information about businesses that are relevant for the city. So that is what we talk about. We also send to council offices the information that we share to try to work with the council offices to make sure you are getting a chance to work with your own constituencies on grant funds or policies or legislation that may be coming up. I also wanted to just touch on the unusual news of brokers being optimistic, in that, I know, puzzling, right? Most brokers are not optimistic people. The Colliers last Thursday did their annual forecast, and just wanted to share, they were unusually optimistic about what is coming in the next year. They were still hedging their bets about recession, but put a lot down on resiliency, even in the face of continued pressure on inflation. So we will see. They also believe that more housing starts will again initiate in the next couple of quarters, or certainly the beginning of 24, mainly because the amount of money that is sitting on the sidelines and some reduction in cost of construction is what they're reporting. So just wanted to share that. And with that interesting comments from Collier, I wanted to introduce Blage Zalalich, who leads the business development team and economic development for our department. And she will share the report this week and also introduce our new public information manager. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. So good afternoon, Chair Foley and committee members. Blage Zalalich, Deputy Director of Business and Economic Development with OEDCA. And before I launch into the report, I do want to introduce you to our new Public Information Manager, Carlos Velasquez, who's sitting here in the hot seat with me today, and is going to be doing these reports and all of our OEDCA communications and public information moving forward. Just a short bit of background on Carlos. He is a native San Josean who's been with the city since 2017. He started with environmental services as the senior public information representative, and most recently has spent the last year working with the city manager's office and very closely with Deputy City Manager Rosalind Huey on the COVID Community and Economic Recovery Task Force. Previously, Carlos worked in communications with the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition, the Illinois Humanity Council, and Teatro Visión. And a couple fun facts about Carlos. His hobbies include playing roller hockey and adding to his record collection. And along those lines, you can catch him spinning records each month at an all-ages drink and draw event, which is really, really fun at Art Boutique just off the Alameda. So you all we're very excited to have Carlos join us, and you all will get to know him more deeply as the months go on. And like I said, after this month, he'll be giving these quarterly activities reports. And with that, let me just launch in to the report since the last time we visited this committee, which Elizabeth did her last report in late 2022. In November of 2022, we celebrated Entrepreneurship Month and hosted a panel discussion and resource fair at the Rotunda, which was very well attended by about 50 small businesses and 5 or 6 of our key resource partners. The highlight of the event was a panel discussion featuring 4 of our local business owners from Source Zero, Luna Mexican Kitchen, Wizardrix Technology Solutions, and iCan Bucket. Each one of those small business owners were able to share their stories and challenges that they faced on their entrepreneurial journey and provide valuable advice and insights to attendees. So it's our intention moving forward to basically host more of these types of panel discussions and resource fairs around local small business and entrepreneurship. And we'll be planning the next one in May for Small Business Month. In December, we published the updates to our key development projects list, which basically highlights large and significant projects that help the city fulfill its goals for housing, employment, and placemaking. That list reflected more than 3,000 residential units and 5.5 million square feet of office space currently under entitlement review, as well as more than 3,000 residential units and 4.3 million square feet of office under construction. The list includes notable projects that were approved by the end of the year, such as the Cambrian Park Plaza project, Echo and Icon, and the West Bank trio of projects downtown, Bowtown, Valley Title, and Fountain Alley. One of the things that was very cool to end the year was the fact that one of our newest San Jose businesses was named #1 Brewery of the Year. We really love highlighting new businesses as well as the recognitions that they receive, and we were very happy to share that our very own Fox Fermentation Project was named #1 Brewery of the Year by Hop Culture magazine. And Foxtail is actually just down the street at 30 East Santa Clara Street. They serve lunch, and obviously they serve drinks. And so we want to encourage all of you to check the place out. Co-founders Wendy and Felipe are really great people and so passionate about the business that they've started downtown. So please support them. In January, we started off the year sharing some of our updates from our partners in the local sustainability realm. So 2 programs that we wanted both commercial property owners and businesses to know about were PG&E's Market Access Program that offers up to $60 million in incentives for building energy upgrades and retrofits. And then also funding that was available to business owners to add electrical vehicle chargers to their place of business or employment. We'll continue to find opportunities to promote these types of incentives and these incentives specifically during this quarter. And we're also working very closely with our colleagues in environmental services to make sure that as these different incentive programs are rolled out, we're getting that information both to the business community and also to you as fellow council members to put out to your constituents. One of the other blogs that we posted late or early in 2023 was a wrap-up of the year's manufacturing for the city of San Jose. Manufacturing represents San Jose's largest employment sector, about 50,000 people, or roughly 12% of all the jobs in the city. And these range everywhere from very large manufacturers to smaller family-owned suppliers and artisan makers. Through the blog, we highlighted some of the key industry leases in 2022, including Sanmina Corporation in North San Jose, Saku Corporation in South San Jose, and Swift POD just south of downtown in District 3. As you are all very well aware, February is Black History Month. And our office is celebrating and has been celebrating Black History Month by highlighting some of the resources for small Black and minority-owned businesses, as well as the workshops that have been put on by a number of our community partners. We have also done a number of highlights in coordination with the Office of Racial Equity around Black-owned small businesses and highlighting those business owners. And we're looking to do more and more of this work as the year goes on, highlighting minority, women-owned, Black and brown-owned businesses, and really looking forward to developing our inroads into those communities and our connections into those communities. On maybe the more fun side of things, the cultural affairs side of the Office of Economic Development was very pleased to announce a couple of really fun activities right outside of our door here at City Hall Plaza. And so since February 15th, OCA has been hosting what they've called Sunset Sounds at Sonic Runway. So every 2 weeks, 5:30 to 6:30, there's been a DJ out there playing songs based off of a song list from City Hall employees. And so really excited to have Sonic Runway activated in this way, and looking forward to the more of the activations that our cultural affair colleagues are planning. The other thing that has been keeping OCA busy is actually the dedication of the XO Public Art, the sculpture that used to be downtown, which is now relocated outside of Terminal B at San Jose Mineta International. The sculpture is basically a very cool love letter to the community, and the dedication of that sculpture will be held on March 9th from 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. So looking forward to having that event and having you all participate as you are able to. Also in February and also upcoming in March, we are actually also going to be launching our next round of small business rent relief grants, and that's actually going to kick off on Wednesday. So we are continuing our support of small business owners who've been impacted by COVID-19 and need some rent support. We've provided over $15 million in support to more than 1,000 businesses thanks to the ARPA funding that was allocated to the city of San Jose. So the latest round of rent relief grants, as I mentioned, will launch this Wednesday. There will be up to $1.5 million available, and we anticipate supporting up to 250 businesses. And we will be sending out more. There'll be a press release around this third wave of the launch. We'll be sending out that information to all of you again so that you can help us get it out to your constituents. And last, but certainly not least, we did have a guest blog by our partners at the San Jose Downtown Association, basically publicizing, despite some of the gloom and doom stories that we've heard about downtown, there have been a lot of actually interesting new businesses that have opened in the core. So we love highlighting our new businesses, and we're going to continue to do so. Everything from banh mi, to egg sandwiches, to dumplings, to fragrant candles. And you can see we have a really diverse ownership portfolio there. By the photos, it's really great to have a variety of different business owners coming and entering into our core and starting their entrepreneurial adventures. And so with that, we'll continue to do our highlights on a quarterly basis. We're going to change up the format a little bit. As you can see, this is a little bit different than what Elizabeth used to do. I think Nancy has some ideas on some trends that we want to insert here into the presentation. And so hoping that this is very informative and interesting both for you and for the community. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, and welcome, Carlos. I look forward to your report in a couple of months. I have a quick question, and well, actually, let me go to the members of the public, and then I'll come back to my question.
There are no in person and no hands up online.
Okay, then I'm going to ask a quick question or just a special request, and that is that I love the idea of seeing all the new businesses that are downtown, but it would be really helpful to know where they are. So if we could have their addresses, then we could go. Because I'm looking at the list thinking, oh, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. I want to try them all out. I want to support our downtown businesses, particularly their small businesses, and they're just getting started. So if you can incorporate it without making the newsletter too busy looking, then please do, because more information is helpful, and we can always push that out too. Next is, I'll go to, didn't you have your hand raised? I don't see you on my list, but I'm Councilmember Ortiz. I'm going to go to Councilmember Torres first because I saw him first, and somehow he went away. I don't know why. Sorry about that.
Great. Thank you for that presentation, and welcome, Carlos. I know that you and me have worked various times in the past when I worked for Councilmember Carrasco. First and foremost, congratulations to Foxtail Fermentation. What a great business that opened up in our downtown San Jose. As someone who stays away, personal choice, of course, from alcohol, they have plenty of amazing non-alcoholic beverages for folks who are not into the alcoholic beverage. They have just a variety of good food, good people, and it's a great business in our downtown, and congratulations to them. So, one, I'm very, very optimistic about this report. As a downtown council member, I lose sleep when I do hear about some small businesses going out of business or moving or being displaced. And so just hearing all the amazing new businesses that have opened up, which, by the way, I've patronized most of them on the list already. But we want to make downtown San Jose for everyone, and we are proving that. You know, you see that it is our residents who are of Asian descent, African American, Latino, Filipino, opening up shop in downtown San Jose, and we want to continue that. So, very excited about this report, and that's pretty much all I have.
Do you want to move to accept the report?
Oh yes, move to accept the report.
Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair. And I also want to thank staff for their very exciting presentation. Really feeling pumped and energized after seeing the businesses that are opening up, as well as the positive narrative that's coming around in regards to the economy and our small businesses. I do have a few questions. The first one was, I thought the report, the status report was great. I just had a question in regards to outreach. So what does outreach look like in regards to small businesses, especially our diverse businesses? What does that look like when we are developing this report?
So, Councilmember, this report is actually kind of just a snapshot of the work that we're doing. There are many other things that we've been doing over the past quarter, and so we try to basically rotate. So rotate based on geography, rotate based on type of program, rotate based on kind of subject matter, depending on what we put on into this kind of quarterly report. But all of the content from this report is really from blogs that we've posted or will be posting. And then what happens is it will also go out in our newsletter, SJ Economy, right after this, later on this week, as kind of a running list of blogs. So you can always find, there's much more information, like for instance, Councilmember Foley, you asked for the addresses of the businesses. In the full blog, there's the address of the business. So we're trying to just balance, putting too many words on a screen here for the presentation, but giving you kind of a taste of the types of activities that the business development team is doing. So it rotates. In November, we had something about Quetzal Garden. The last one, we had something about Quetzal Gardens opening and the work that the Latino Business Foundation is doing there, for instance. So it rotates.
Wonderful, thank you. Another question in regards to the energy efficiency retrofit incentives for our small business owners. Do we have a communication campaign going out for them to be informed in regards to this opportunity, as well as does the funding opportunity cover the entire cost for the charges?
So we're working pretty closely with our folks and our colleagues in ESD, and they really have the bulk of kind of the communications power. Like I said, behind these programs. We're working in conjunction with them, and they have put on a couple of seminars. We have sent out a couple of communications, and then we'll continue to do this with the more specific details of the programs. So again, in the blog, there are more links to where people can get additional information, do their applications, so on and so forth, for the program. And I don't know offhand, maybe Carlos does, Or maybe we can phone a friend here and one of our colleagues will text me over Teams chat if they cover the entire program or if it's a portion of it. But we can get you that answer.
I appreciate that. So the outreach is mostly on the city website and the blogs. There's not like direct outreach to
No,
businesses?
I believe that ESD is working on a campaign, and then obviously us, as we are talking to businesses, we're going out on biz walks in different neighborhoods. We're also carrying this information.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. I was really excited to see the information in regards to manufacturing. I know we're trying to make sure that we're creating more opportunity for manufacturing here in the city of San Jose. I wanted to ask if there's any plans for our city to take advantage of the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act incentives to boost more domestic manufacturing here in San Jose.
Yeah, I can go, and then, yes, the long and short answer is yes, absolutely. And so we have actually been talking with a number of businesses that are interested in taking part in the incentives that are being offered by CHIPS. We're working internally to put together a program of, the CHIPS Act requires both a state and local match. And so we're working to see what we can put forward as a city, whether that be, some way to do streamlined permitting, whether that is some sort of utility users tax rebate, or whether that is something with our workforce, because there's a big workforce development component in the CHIPS Act, and we obviously have a very significant program led by Jeff Ruster in our department. So there are a variety of things that we're talking about right now. We are talking with companies, we're talking with our partners at San Jose State, with the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, and we're looking to put, as the regulations come out, as we're learning more and more about the specifics, our intention is to put together a good package of support for both businesses and for potentially a technology center to maybe come to the city. Yeah.
That's great. That's really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. And then finally, I know that the round 3 of the rent relief grants is going to be launching March 1st, but I also know that's funded by ARPA funds. Are we going to see that program sunset after this last round, or is there going to be any sort of movement to try to continue some form of it?
At this point, we have about $1.5 million left, and so we are going to be looking to get all of that money out the door. Subsequent to that, we don't have additional grant funds in OED specifically. So the idea would be until we are able to identify new funds, the grant program would sunset.
Okay, no, it totally makes sense that grant made a huge difference throughout the city of San Jose. So just thank you for the report and thank you for all your hard work.
Just Carlos, one additional comment. Carlos reminded me there was some funding that the COVID-19 Recovery Task Force did chip in for grants. There was $300,000, and so we are definitely going to make sure that money is incorporated into the remaining ARPA funding that we have. Any
help that us as council members can assist with, outreach, flyers we could have, please rely on us to do outreach in our districts. Thank you.
We will take you up on that for sure. Thank you.
Next is Vice Mayor Kamei.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that you've done and continue to do. It sounds terrific. I was just wondering, is it through your office that any potential vendors would be able to apply for vendor status? That's something that I came across as I was looking for a vendor for the Black History Month flag raising, and I saw a very limited number of local vendors that are able to do catering for us. And I know there's a lot of interest, especially those in the downtown area. They're looking for different opportunities to be able to, expand their business or be able to do more business. And to me, it makes sense, especially if they're in the vicinity, where it makes it also very convenient for them to do deliveries or be a part of or something like that.
Councilman Vice Mayor, thank you very much for the question. Nancy Economic Development. And Walter Lynn out of Public Works is the person who's responsible for overseeing the team that does vendors and that sort of recruitment.
That's terrific. Yeah, thank you so much because, I had been asked, who, and I thought, oh, I don't really know. So this is very helpful, and I think, I wasn't sure which department was in charge of that, but that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Torres.
So that answer just spurred a question. So why does Public Works deal with getting small business to be our vendors?
The Rotunda is a city facility.
Okay.
That Public Works directly oversees. So that is why the responsibility lies within Public Works.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Nancy. And the other one is with the excitement of all the new businesses opening up in downtown, I forgot to ask my question. And my question was, so SBCD administers the rent relief program.
Yes, we partner with the Enterprise Foundation to do that.
Okay, and that's Dennis King and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Were their businesses waitlisted from the first round? Did every business was every business able to get some type of rent relief fund? And if not, are we going to make sure that folks who, if they were waitlisted, are able to apply for this round?
So as far as the folks that receive funding from our rent relief program, as long as we didn't have more applicants than kind of funding available. So as long as folks were eligible and met the eligibility criteria, and that was less than 10 employees, they had to be open before kind of COVID hit. There were different tiers of revenue. So depending on what tier your revenue fell into, you had a grant that you were able, or up to grant amount that you were eligible for. So with these first two rounds of grant funding, everybody that applied and was eligible did receive funding.
Oh, good.
And that's why we still have additional funds available for the third round.
Okay, great. Then no, that's good to know, and I hope maybe in future either CEDs or I don't know if it falls under PSFIS, if we can definitely see the amazing impact and who our businesses were and maybe what area or council districts most of these small businesses were in. So a more in-depth report would be great.
So we'll be coming back in April with kind of an overall business development report and kind of what we're doing both on small business outreach and large business outreach and kind of all of our stuff that keeps us daily working pretty hard. And we will definitely be including a rundown of the rent relief program.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Batra.
Thank you. It's great to see that the downtown revitalization is happening. And I'd like to know is if you collect any data on what the vacancy rates are for the businesses in downtown and what you may be projecting to give us a rosy picture.
There's definitely a lot of interest in vacancy rates downtown. Lots of folks asking about that. So at this point, the office vacancy, kind of just general vacancy, is about 20% downtown, and that is high and is at an all-time high for a while. As far as storefronts, and I think maybe that's probably more specifically what you were asking about, ground floor storefronts, we do not have a mechanism by which we are receiving that information. We do work closely with the Downtown Association, and because they manage the property-based improvement district and have ambassadors on the street, they have been able to do some counts of vacant storefronts literally by walking up and down the street. And so working together with them, currently the number we have is about 64 vacant storefronts in the core. Now, probably your next question is, well, out of how many, right? And and so at this time, we don't have the capability or that information. But through a lot of the discussion that's been happening with the transition committee, specifically the downtown transition committee, we've been talking about what data and how we might access some of those numbers. So we hope that in the future, we will be able to find a way to get that information.
And just a
Okay,
quick
so we'll
note,
get, the
Councilmembers.
other piece we'll get it in your next report. You might be able to tell us that it's dropped down to 50 storefronts. And even though we may not know out of how many, we would know that you made progress in revitalizing the thing. So even just having this piece of information on a regular basis would be very helpful, because we'll be able to see the trend. Okay?
Yes, so we have, through a group of stakeholders that started meeting at the end of July, we have developed some quality of life metrics around the downtown core, and just started in Q4 with a baseline kind of group of metrics. And so our intention is to report on those metrics quarterly. They'll be part of the report that's coming to the PIS committee in March, the Downtown Quality of Life Report. And then on a quarterly basis, we'll be updating those, and we'll have those available.
Okay, that's great. One other question on, you mentioned PG&E is allocated $60 million for having the EV chargers installed in the commercial buildings or multi-unit buildings. Is that for San Jose, or that's for a part of San Jose $60 million, or is it part for something larger than that?
So the $60 million in incentives is for commercial building energy retrofits. So there were two kind of separate programs. One is for the EV chargers, and one is for the building retrofits. And I believe that is the full budget for the program. I don't think that is just for San Jose.
Okay.
Yeah, it's technically the PG&E service area, so Silicon Valley, yeah.
So that could get almost the whole Northern California, right?
That's why we want to get in there and get our businesses and our commercial property owners to apply, get the word out.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Really good questions from my colleagues. I just have a couple follow-ups regarding our vacancies. The 20% office vacancies really doesn't tell the full picture, because is that 20% calculated on the number of leases that we have? It's not necessarily indicative of how many employees have come back downtown.
Right.
And that's the issue, right? If we're going to create a vibrant downtown San Jose core, we need to get people to come back to working down here. And 20% vacancy, while it sounds high, the number of bodies in those offices is much higher than that, I would venture to say. So is that kind of a lease number, the properties that are leased?
Yes.
Okay.
That's commercial office space available, so whether that's a sublease or what be it.
Okay, so that's the number that I'm really watching, the how we can boost vibrancy and boost profitability for our small businesses downtown is by bringing us all back downtown. And I know flex hours or flex work is really, really important to our employees and all of our employees, since we found out how easy it was during the pandemic. But getting people downtown will help revitalize downtown, and so I look forward to that. With that, I see no other hands raised, so let's vote.
Batra,
Yes.
Oh, we can just press the vote button.
Yeah, I did. I just did.
Sorry. I forgot we don't need to call the roll, because we're all here. And we can just, just like a city council meeting. How fun is that? Motion passes 5-0. Sorry, I sound like I don't know what I'm doing, because frankly, I just don't know what I'm doing. And I'm not too proud to admit that. Okay, Moving on to, thank you so much for that presentation. We had a longer discussion than we normally have, but it was really a good, vibrant, important discussion for us to have. Moving on to the next topic, which is City Initiatives Roadmap, Development Service Process Improvements, and Dashboard Status Report. Chris Burton, I assume you're kicking us off.
That would be correct. Thank you, Chair and Council members. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. And I am pleased to have a full house of our exec team with us today to present this to you. So joining me at the dais, Rachel Roberts, Director of, let me start again. Deputy Director of Code Enforcement, Robert Manford, Deputy Director for Planning Development Services, Lisa Joyner, Deputy Director for Building, and Alex Powell, who's my Chief of Staff and also has been working very hard on this initiative in the background. I also just want to note that both Tu Chang and Michael Brio are also in the audience. So you literally have the full suite of our exec team here. So just to give a little context on this conversation, back in January of last year, the former mayor submitted a memo to the Rules and Open Government Committee directing PBCE to come through the Community and Economic Development Committee with updates on our current backlogs and challenges with our process. Obviously, you know, there's been a number of concerns around process timelines and backlog through the permitting process, so it was really an attempt to shine some light on some of those challenges. In later, sort of, probably in February of that year, last year, we also transitioned what was a former roadmap item around technology transition into process improvement. So that's why you see this appearing currently on the city roadmap, where we have a focus on process improvement throughout PBCE. So we started reporting to the committee on a biannual basis in February of 2022. We came back in August. This is the third update we'll be presenting. And what that did was allowed us to really look at our process in a more critical way. And so what we'll actually be discussing today is a change in the way that we're thinking about metrics and measures within the department and managing the information and flow of work that's occurring around our process in the permitting world, but all the way through the department. So it also includes code enforcement. So what are we talking about? So when we think about kind of the work that we do as PBCE across all of our work, you know, we work in, you know, a number of different service lines, but it's often a sort of a continuum of work with either an applicant or a customer that we're working in different ways. When we talk about timelines more generically, we're often talking about the holistic timeline. How long does it take to get a permit? How long does it take to get through a process? Now, obviously, as a department, we don't control that entire timeline, but we do control certain moments within it. And really what we're focusing on are those parts of the process that are within our purview, within our control, so the boxes on each of these timelines, both throughout planning, building, and code enforcement. And really looking at opportunities where we can improve the customer experience and reduce timelines and backlogs. What I'll say is, over the past year, we've noticed, you know, significant impacts relative to timelines as a result of COVID. The transition to hybrid work and particularly remote work on the permit process was very pronounced. So we're really using this as an opportunity to get ourselves back on track and understand where those impacts occur. So through that, we've really started to rethink our approach to metrics and how we kind of have this conversation with our customers. And so we've developed one of our core initiatives within the department. It's called our Customer Service Charter. The intent is to give a very sort of specific written commitment to the public on how we provide customer service that provides details on the services, metrics, the resources that are available, so we can continue to focus on this work and to continue to improve that interaction on an ongoing basis. Through that, we're sort of making a very obvious commitment to those customers, and it sort of really represents in four different ways. It's you know, your traditional customer service metric of response time, right? How do we ensure that we're staying timely in the work that we do? It's a commitment to really benchmark this work and understand metrics on an ongoing basis, but not just to sort of have the dashboard and understand where those numbers are, but to really critically think about how we improve those numbers and again, improve that customer interaction. It's a commitment to take those actions, to do the work, to actually make the improvements. And then lastly, a real commitment to transparency. When we think about those timelines, one of the biggest challenges that our customers have, whether it's a large-scale developer doing hundreds of units, or whether it's a single-family homeowner who's just changing out a water heater, is that time in process without effective communication and transparency is risk, it's frustration, and quite often it's cost. And so it's on us to really make sure that they can understand what those challenges are and that they can see that process for what it is. So what does that mean? So it's a lot of work. So for a department of 310 people, we cover a lot of work and a lot of space. There are about 10 distinct work groups throughout the department in the 3 divisions. Within that, there are literally dozens of work lines. And so when you start to analyze numbers, we have a lot of data out there. There's a lot of information, a lot of different processes. So to really think about this in a meaningful way, when you look at the presentations that we did to CED last year, both presentations, they were generally based on numbers that we already tracked, that are often associated with our budget numbers in the budget book, other things that we've published. But they weren't really providing a meaningful insight on process, especially as it relates to customers. So in designing this initiative, what we did is we started within the department and we really tasked our middle managers and our staff to think about customer outcomes, to think about the information that is available, and kind of redesign our metrics in a way that could really relate to that, so that we could sort of look for those opportunities to improve. In doing so, we laid out, sorry, we've got animation in this one, a couple of different ways of thinking about those measures, right? So firstly, activity. What's the level of output, right? What's the actual number of things we're doing, the widgets we're producing, the permits we're processing? How do we think about productivity? So the way we're performing, how we're performing, how the resources align to the work we're doing. And then lastly, really that focus on outcome. So what's the service level measurable impact to the customer, specifically the customer, and in limited cases, other departments within the city. And so you'll see, this is an example of a measure that we were already tracking and was suitable for the cause. So this is related to building inspection. You can see it's number of counts, so just the volume. It's the productivity, so how we're using our staff. And then it's the outcome. So how quickly can you call for a building inspection? So we really started to structure those numbers on that basis and think in a really meaningful way around the work. And as we sort of take that data, so again, it's a lot. Initially, we started out with over 50 different data points that we were managing. Everybody that's seen this presentation so far is like, are you crazy? That's too many. But we do a lot, right? We cover a lot of area. When you think about all of the work that's done throughout the department, there's a lot of space. So we have to cover a lot of metrics. We have to understand those numbers. So as we organize this information and make it public, we're going to organize it in a number of different ways. So you'll be able to see it at the team level, sort of, within the different interactions. You'll be able to look at the division, whether it's planning, building, or code enforcement, and see the overall impacts that are occurring there. And then you'll see the sort of overall dashboard, which I know, Chair Foley, you'll recall last year when we did this presentation. That's my favorite bit because it's intended to be complete shock and awe as I show you, over 40 charts at the same time, which is why I will do that now and give you all 40 charts at once. So this is the current view. So this is all the new information. So yeah, it's a lot of numbers. We're tracking a lot of information, but it's a lot of work that's behind this. And so you'll see, this is intended, this is going to be a public-facing website that people will be able to go into. They'll be able to sort of look within those individual measures. We've structured the work in a very specific way. So obviously, this doesn't mean a lot to anybody. I love this slide because it means a ton to me. This is my gut check when I look at it, and I can see where performance overall is. But as you dive through that structure and start to really understand, you can kind of see the more granularity of the data that occurs there. And the key is, as we built the initiative with our staff in mind, it wasn't just about, hey, go get me this number and tell me where it's at. We did this in a way that produces dashboards that you can click all the way down to the individual measure, and it tells you the goal, it tells you the data, where it's coming from, it tells you a summary of what this data means, it tells you about historical impacts over time, so things that you should think about when you're planning out projects or you're thinking about how you're interacting with this process. And so to give you a sense of kind of what that looks like and to dive into some of the individual measures, we're going to work through 3, which is why I handily have 3 of our deputies here who can walk you through their individual measures. And I'm going to start by handing it over to Robert.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Robert Manford, Deputy Director for Planning. So the planning team has 4 distinct teams. It's the Planning Permit Center, Development Review, Environmental Review, and citywide planning. The dashboard provides information on all this stuff that you see there. With regards to Planning Permit Center, we look at the number of public inquiries received and then the number of public inquiries answered. When it comes to applications submitted, we look at the number and then the number of applications that have been completed. On the other side, we look at conformance review referrals and then the conformance review numbers processed. We also look at the conformance review completed and then compare that with the numbers reviewed on time. When it comes to development review, we look at the permit appointment availability and then comment letter issued within 30 days. And I'll get to that in the next slide. We also look at the comment letter issued within 45 days. Then when it comes to environmental review, which has been under the microscope for a lot, we look at the number of administration drafts reviews completed, and then the percentage of administration drafts completed on time, because we set timelines for ourselves. We also look at the major environmental documents approved, and then the average review time for all these major environmental documents. Citywide planning actually will be presenting a different upcoming presentation. So this is just an example of one of the dashboards. The first is the 30-day review letter. This actually looks at when an application is put in, we have 30 days to respond whether the application is complete. And this is actually in compliance with the Permit Streamlining Act. As it stands now, we are at 81% of that, which is good. If we were to staff the vacancies or fill the vacancies, we'll do better than the 81%. But so what the general impact is that we need sufficient planners to process, review, complete tasks on time. And then the tracking system of projects lost during routing process has sent that staff in past to meet these deadlines. There are some historic disruptions. If you look at the left side, bottom left side, the graph over there, at the end, which is February 2023, it shows the 81%. But from November, it dropped to 51. And that shouldn't scare you, but it's because we diverted a lot of resources to complete the major projects that have been identified on the city's roadmap before the end of the calendar year as a result of the mayoral transition, and then we had new members coming into the city council. So that is why it dropped, but now we came back to 81%. And we could do much better if we had all the vacancies filled. At this point, I'll hand it over to Lisa.
Good afternoon, Lisa Joyner, Deputy Director of the Building Division. So similar to planning, we have a bunch of parts within the building division. We've got our support services call center and imaging team. We have our permit center, our plan review team, and our inspection team. And so all of these measures are looking at obviously different ways that we support our customers. With the call center, the total calls answered, how long they're on the call, how long they have to wait for the call. For the permit center, how long to the next appointment, how many permits have staff actually issued versus how many permits have been pulled online. For plan review, we measure our overdue projects to see what our backlog is, the number of projects in queue waiting to be reviewed, how long it takes for comments to be sent, how many projects are overdue. And for inspection, it's the number of counts we do per day, how well the team is utilized, and the time to the next available inspection. The next available inspection is the one that we'll dive into a little bit. I think this slide is not updated, so I apologize for that. But we are measuring the time to the next available inspection. You can see that at the end of 2022, we had quite a delay to our next inspection. We were about 6 weeks out. we implemented mandatory overtime for the months of October and November for the entire team. And that combined with the weather, because in the winter, the weather affects construction. I actually looked it up this morning. Our next available inspection is March 6th, which is 5 days. So we have gone from 6 weeks to 5 days in the past couple months through staff perseverance, hard work, and I give a tiny bit of credit to the weather. So historic disruptions have been obviously staffing. We have been recruiting for the past year almost continuously for our inspection team, and we actually have a recruitment that should be finishing up at the end of this week. So we hope to get some more people on our team. Holidays affect our inspections because it's 400 counts lost right there in a week that people need. So we continue to work on our timelines. 5 days, I'm very proud of the team. And we continue to recruit so that we can keep it low. And I'll pass it to Rachel.
Thank you. Okay, so for our dashboard for code enforcement, we're featuring our 2 core services. We have our general code program, which is our citywide general funded program, as well as our multiple housing program, also known as the residential occupancy permit program. And so for general code, on the left-hand side there, we have emergency inspections, priority inspections, and routine inspections. And this is capturing how well we are delivering that initial inspection once the complaint is received. So for emergency, the customer calls in the complaint, we need to be out there within 24 hours. For priority, it's considered a hazardous situation, but not imminent, and so we require a inspection within 72 hours or 5 business days. And then routine, that's more of your quality of life, blight type issues, and for those inspections, we require a 15-day response time. On the right-hand side, we have a number of new code cases as well as number of closed cases. So it's really important we track these numbers because we always want to see that closed case number being higher than the cases coming in with our new code case number. That means that we're closing cases, we're staying on top of our work, and we're not adding to our backlog. Which leads me to the last under the general code program, our total active cases. So this tracks the number of cases that we have ongoing, open, and being investigated at any given time. And currently we're tracking just a little over 3,800 cases. So every time we see that closed case number being higher than our new case number for the month, we know that we're adding to that backlog. For the multiple housing residential occupancy program, we're tracking number of buildings inspected, and that brings with it the number of units inspected. So because our program is proactive tier model program, we need to inspect these buildings at least once during the cycle of the tier they're assigned. And so we set a target each year on the number of buildings we need to inspect in each tier in order to hit that target by the end of the cycle. And so every building's different. Some have 4 units, some have 400 units. So depending on the tier, we're inspecting a percentage, and that will inform us of how many units we were able to inspect for that month. And all of this feeds into our annual numbers that you will see during the budget cycle. And then violations closed per month for our multiple housing program, that's a direct reflection of us making the improvement in folks' living situations, and that each time we identify a violation as a result of one of those inspections, it's noted, and as they're closed and resolved, we're capturing how many of those violations we've resolved each month. So an example of one of our dashboards, this is from our general code program, the priority inspections. So if you click on the links that are provided for our dashboard, this is what you will see. And what's great about it is it gives you some additional information, what the measure is about, a summary of the measure to get even further into its meaning, and then the owner who you can contact if you have questions about the dashboard measure, and then, of course, how we're performing over time as shown through our chart. The historic disruptions, code does fluctuate in terms of performance, definitely based on staffing and vacancies, but sometimes it could be other factors such as with the pandemic, which really affected our numbers quite a bit during that time. We were averaging about 60% going into the pandemic, largely due to staffing. But then during the pandemic, because we were redeployed for emergency response, we were averaging 38% response time for the priority inspections. However, we are up to 81% for the month of December, and we're at 79% for the month of January, and that is meeting and exceeding our target. And so a lot of kudos go to our team, and especially the ongoing recruitment we've been doing to restaff our team. So very excited about seeing that performance grow so well.
Thanks, Rachel. So just to sort of sum that up a little bit, obviously, and well, let me just say, obviously for ease of presentation, we took snapshots of those dashboards, but if you were to click on the links available in the memo today, and that will be published online through our main website as of tomorrow, if you clicked on Lisa's inspection one, it says 5 right now. I just checked it. So it's in sort of real time. It's updating that information on an ongoing basis. And again, the intent is that either council or the public or a developer, any kind of customer can go in and get an understanding of where those numbers are in real time and not have to wait for us to show up every 6 months at CED. Not that we don't love to come and talk about these things. So in aggregate, right now we're publishing about 43 individual dashboard measures across the city. We have that same page with all of those details for each one of those. And again, we've tasked our middle managers within the department of really owning that information and driving it. And there's a reason there. It's not just about how we present this information to the public. It's about how we use it internally. You can hear, just as the deputies are talking about their individual dashboards within this space, obviously, you know, there are recurring themes, and staffing is one of them. And we've said that a lot. We've probably said that a lot over the last 18 months. Certainly since I've been director, it's a challenge that we sort of are working against. But you know, what this really represents is an opportunity to put that in context. What does it actually mean as it relates to performance, as it relates to process and measures within the department? And so that's the intent of really publishing this information. That's why we have the sort of 43 measures within there, in addition to the individual division and team dashboards. The other critical piece, which when we get back to that slide, you'll see right at the bottom, is the 15+ improvement initiatives. So it's not enough just to measure these things. It's great. You can already see and hear how those improvements are already occurring and the sort of acknowledgement of where our challenges are as we look forward towards our work. But it's also about how do we develop a work plan within the department to create that improvement. So we have a dashboard that in itself will be available online. You'll see this. You can click through to it, that actually lists those initiatives that we have out underway within the department at any given time to improve those numbers and make that situation better. And so what that means is when we come back to these timelines, when we think about the overall process, we're being very targeted and specific about that work. What this slide is it's representing each one of those 43 measures on each one of those boxes where we're impacting customer timelines. So it's really kind of taking that customer-centric, outcome sort of driven approach to our work as we think about process improvements and really sort of drive these changes within the department. So what's next? So this is definitely an initiative in its infancy. This is, you know, it's 5-6 months in process already. I will assure you that this is something that we use on a weekly basis with all of our teams inside the department. It's not a static report that we sort of update once every 6 months. It's a working tool that we're utilizing internally. But we know we have work to do, right? So we'll continue to level up that analysis and do more work. We'll deepen those measures, get a better understanding of where the impacts are and how we can change that. There's some background work on how we pull information out of our system so we can get the right reports to support this work. And then as we continue to move down the line, the sort of vision is to think about this from a sort of an inter-team or inter-divisional way. So how does one timeline impact sort of, you know, in one line, impact others elsewhere? So we can help forecast and think about those impacts and help customers adjust for them as they go. And then obviously the initiatives, right? So those improvement initiatives, how do we continue to implement them, but also measure them? So my hope is that when we're back here in 6 months, it won't just be, here's the latest iteration of this dashboard. It'll be, here's the latest iteration of this dashboard. Here's what we did, and here's how it changed. Because that's the key, is that we're improving the way in which we look at all this data so we can provide meaningful changes to our customers. And with that, we're available for questions.
Wow, that is a tremendous report. The dashboard is really fabulous to look at, and I look forward to seeing it in real time. So before I go to the members of the public, are you saying that I could, if I have a project, I can click on that now and see the process, or?
So it's not the process. I would love for us to be at that point, and as I said, it's an initiative in its infancy. You know, it's really right now, it's about how we're looking at our process on aggregate within the department. You know, in the past, we've used tools like the chess clock to show individual projects, and some of those tools do still exist in SJ permits. This is really about how we kind of manage the workflow and the work within the department. Eventually, the two will come together. That's sort of downstream a little bit.
So it's more answers my questions about what it might look like and the timelines that might be involved.
Exactly.
Really exciting. Okay, let's go to the members of the public.
We have one public speaker card. It's going to be Andrew Rubang. Just please make your way down to the podium. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. State your name, and the timer is displayed on the podium. Thank you.
Afternoon, Chair and board members. I do want to apologize. I think this comment should have probably been before you guys, so I apologize about that. My name is Andrew Rubang. I am from the California Public Utilities Commission, and I am here to discuss really two things. Well, one thing came up. Council member Batra talked about it, but
Is this in relation to the item we just presented?
no, it's not. So
Okay, then can you wait till we have public comment at the end of the meeting?
is it possible if I just do it now? Because I do have to attend something else at 3 o'clock. So it was really more about the agenda 1. I meant to come in, but I really couldn't find the door.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's not typical, but go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize. But I do want to say what we've heard at the state level is that when it comes to economic issues, there is a PG&E capacity issue. And so when cities are trying to work on development, it seems like they're the major bottleneck. And what my job is to figure out what's going on and to see if I can move that along. So I just want to give my contact to you guys to say if there's any PG&E projects that have delays, please feel free to CC me. I am your conduit to the California Public Utilities Commission. And then on the energy efficiency, I think Councilmember Ortiz talked about it, that we are having a webinar where we're going to discuss about building decarbonization coming up. And I just want to invite the city of San Jose, each of one of your offices. We will be discussing about where we're headed, and hopefully you guys can attend. Thank you for that.
Thank you. No other public comments, virtual or in person?
Speakers, that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Then moving on to Councilmember Ortiz.
Still getting used to this new equipment. Thank you, Chris, Rachel, Robert, and Lisa for this presentation and for the updates on the PBCE customer service dashboard, as well as providing the next steps that you all will be taking in order to further improve the customer service and transparency of the department. Really appreciate that work. Having heard that one of the main barriers to improving customer satisfaction is the vacancies, how is your department, whether you're working with HR or other strategies, what strategies are you taking into consideration when trying to fill the vacancies, and what are the barriers that you may be experiencing?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. And you know, we're definitely hit hard by vacancies as a department. I think it's not something that's unique to us. However, when we sort of hit vacancies because of our structure, certainly the customers and certainly the public experience those delays as a result of our staffing challenges. It's something that we're seeing across the board in other cities, our peer cities, in other departments within the city, and also in other agencies or other organizations. So one of those strategies that we're helping utilizing to help offset some of our backlogs resulting from vacancies is peak staffing. So back in December of last year, the City Council approved new peak staffing contracts that the department utilizes to bring in outside help to help offset that deficit. And what we're hearing from those peak staffing agencies is there's just demand across the board. Chu Chang was actually talking to one of those companies recently. They were lamenting at the amount of capacity that was being diverted to San Diego right now, who are experiencing very similar issues, and the hope that they would be able to preserve capacity for us. So it's certainly not unique to us. But we do see those impacts in very specific ways as it relates to our customers and to the public. So there's a number of different things we're doing. I think sort of important to understand the sort of volume and the sort of numbers associated with that challenge. So right now we have about 75 vacancies throughout the department. That's putting us at a vacancy rate of around 25%. So hiring is literally a constant business. We are constantly running recruitments. I think currently we have about 12 recruitments that are active right now. As Lisa said, we're about to bring on new inspectors. We're just completing a new recruitment for planners. One of the significant challenges that we're seeing is we're just not seeing the same quantity of applicants as we have in the past. Sort of it's really the pools are a lot more limited, and so we're not seeing as many people, and that as you sort of filter that down through the process, it means less people for the position. We're certainly going to see that in a couple of our current recruitments where we're going to end up hiring less than the number of vacancies that we have, which then just puts us right back into that recruitment. With code enforcement, we've actually had some success in running that. As Rachel said, we've literally been running that recruitment for about a year now. It's been sort of constant and ongoing, and we've sort of just continued to check in on a regular basis, pull the resumes, and continue to move it forward. And we've had some success there. Obviously, there's a capacity issue when you're doing that across the entire department. We have a relatively small admin team that are balancing all of this and working with the city's HR department, who've been a tremendous support in kind of figuring out these issues. And then what I will say is one of the challenges is timeline. So it's a very sort of a very difficult market for employers right now in certain sectors to actually find employees. So we know we're competing with other cities on a regular basis. And if we don't move quickly, we often lose out. So we're looking at ways that we can reduce our process steps internally to make hiring faster. So HR has given us the ability to look at how we're doing reference checks, how we're structuring interviews, again, so we can move through that process and make a decision in a much more quick way.
Thank you. One thing that I've seen be successful when it comes to recruitment is potential internship agreements with local colleges. Do we have any agreements with San Jose State, Santa Clara University, and maybe for some roles, I'm sure there's a diverse level of experience needed, maybe even community colleges?
Yeah, so not currently, but it's something that we're actually actively working on internally, is how do we build that pipeline? Certainly, we just had the conversation about our planning recruitment, right? Knowing that we won't fill all of those vacancies in this round. Thinking about the timeline to when San Jose State, literally across the street, they're about to sort of graduate in a couple of months from now, making sure that we're sort of in touch with those programs and have those connections. But you're absolutely right. The ability to deepen that process through internships is a critical one. I think part of the challenge that we've had as a department is really figuring out the resources to be able to program that. It's, there's work involved with creating meaningful internships that lead to good, opportunities for employment. And right now, sort of all of our resources are diverted to sort of getting the work done. We need to create the space so we can actually give our staff the time to figure out the programmatic steps as well.
Thank you. And then final question. I know that one of the topics of the transition committees was planning. Did you guys have any thoughts in regards to the policies that came out of that committee? Are you endorsing them, recommending them?
Well, obviously, I'm going to cautiously walk around that statement for a second.
Okay.
And I'm happy to add to that, anything you say, Chris.
So we were heavily involved in the process. So both Rosalind and I were a part of those discussions, each of those 3 meetings, and we had the opportunity to talk about some of the process improvement steps that we have in place. And some of the things that align with that could be good opportunities for us as a department to consider. Obviously, we're also at the same time going through the regular budget process where we have kind of, ideas about where we can add and supplement within the department to help support these. So I think there's, a lot of good work that's gone through that process. And so we've provided responses through the city manager's office to those next steps, and will be available tomorrow. Again, I think that there's a very obvious line between the work around the roadmap priority on process improvements around the transition committee, and then the work that we're already doing within the department to help sort of work out some of these issues.
Thank you, Chair.
Whoops, thank you. Councilmember Batra.
Thank you for giving that update. And the question I have is that you got about 75 vacancies, and you're still trying to do your job with the dashboard showing that it's a great job going. Are you filling up these pieces of work with contractors, overtime, all of the above, none of the above?
A little bit of all the above, but probably the reality is, and obviously this is why we're very focused on our metrics, is some of that is being realized in backlogs, right? And the ability, because ultimately there's a productivity sort of threshold, at which point where you don't have enough people, you just continue to push back the work and create an additional backlog. And so that's where we've seen the challenges. And really this work was aimed at sort of understanding that so we can deploy and divert resources appropriately and hopefully impact that in a meaningful way. We are using peak staffing, especially within the building group right now. So our highest vacancy is within building and within building plan review. So the engineers that are reviewing plans. And so after we got those contracts approved at council in December, there's a process by which the contracts get signed. We go back and forth with the contractors. There's a little bit of time in there. But before the end of the year, we had a significant number of projects out to those contractors to help try and reduce that number. Obviously, our preference is often to keep as much of that work as possible in-house, just because we believe that our staff are uniquely qualified to really sort of do a lot of that work. But we know that we need to supplement in certain ways. What I will say on overtime is we are using overtime as appropriate. As Lisa noted, with the inspections, we saw a real issue around inspections in the second half of last year, just given the delay. And that was significantly impacted by vacancies. And so we put in place the overtime program that was very successful. It was incredibly hard on our staff, and they worked really hard to sort of get through that and continue to sort of work really diligently to maintain a lower level on that number. We're going to have to sort of really watch that one, because as we move into the new year, we know it will creep up as we head back towards the summer. So that's why we're really focused on filling those vacancies. And it's not just about filling the vacancies. I could fill every vacancy in the department tomorrow, and those numbers wouldn't necessarily improve. It's about, especially with certain positions within the department, it's about how we onboard those people and sort of teach them the specifics about the job. So again, the sort of structure internally to support the work that needs to go. This is why we're really focused on how we're managing resources internally. It's not just about kind of the output and how we do the technical work. We have to have really solid managers that can lead the teams internally.
So in terms of the skill set which you need, does that exist in the private industry in the area?
It does, yeah, and it does in some different ways. I mean, I'm trying to think of good examples. If you sort of take, I'm going to use our planning group as an example. So historically, we've used consultant support and peak staffers often to do targeted projects. So for example, urban village plans or, specific plan work. Because it's usually a time-limited piece of work, right? And then we can bring in a set resource. Usually the budget is limited that's associated with it. What you'll often find, so in building, we're using third-party resources where we literally send the plans out and we get them back. In planning, we'll bring those resources in-house. And part of the reason is we need that contact. There's so much sort of nuance and so much that's unique about our own planning process, our own policies and documents, about the sort of work that has to occur between departments, that you have to sort of really manage that closely. So while the expertise may exist outside of the department, it has to be in such close coordination, and it has to be managed effectively within that context.
Yeah, so I had suggested to the HR when they were talking about their report, that look into the private sector, especially if your short-term solution might be is picking up some of the people who are retiring from those places, or just calling quits from the industry, and they may be willing to join you not because you pay them very well, but because they're helping the city. So with that motive or that presentation, they may be sold on the idea of working another 2-3 years after their retirement to give back to the city where they have lived. So so it would be a good idea to look into these large corporations who have these people retiring, and now maybe because of the slowness in business, maybe some more people might be retiring and they can pick up a second career for a short time. Okay, so.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councilmember. Certainly, one of the attractors to certainly our department and many others in the city is the ability to work on things with purpose. We have purpose in abundance. So, you know, a lot of people are really interested in making that impact and sort of making that difference within the city. So we're always looking for those opportunities to connect.
Okay. Good luck with that. I'm hopeful that you will find, you need only 75, maybe you'll find about 100 of them.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Torres.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and everyone who presented. It's a very, very good presentation. And what this presentation obviously tells us is that our staff at PBCE is doing more with limited resources. But we all know how important PBC is for the quality of life and the revitalization of all of our city, right? Not just downtown, but for the whole city of San Jose. And I am also, just like the rest of my colleagues on here, I'm particularly concerned about our vacancy rate. I heard 75 in planning. I didn't quite get the number in building or code. Or is it just 75 for the whole PBCE?
Yeah, there's 75 vacancies across the department right now. I'd have to look up the numbers of the individual sort of sections, but
okay. If you know, you can. I know you have a really good relationship with Esmeralda, so if you can send that via Esmeralda's email, that'd be great. You mentioned, Chris. Well, 75 is a lot, by the way, but you mentioned onboarding, Chris. So. Because I've heard from various city employees, not only here at City Hall, but at the door when I was campaigning, after fire and police, folks in PBCE probably have to, you know, onboarding, they probably have to get trained about 4 to 8 weeks. Is that true, or it's a more in-depth, longer process than anything else? I just want to know how long it takes for them to finally get the job.
Yeah, so it really depends on the position, just given the sort of varied workload. In fact, I'd probably hand it over to my 3 colleagues to help answer that question.
So just to clarify, so you're curious to know how long it takes us to train once we've hired that person?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for code enforcement, they go through a training academy, which lasts usually around 4 to 6 weeks. Then they're paired with a mentor, so a peer that takes them out and they kind of learn the ropes, or get to put what they've learned into practice. And then they get assigned their caseload somewhere in that timeline, and then eventually they're off on their own. So most code inspectors come in as a 1, and that's a 1-year probation. If there are 2, they come as 6-month probation. But it takes about a year to really get the job down. And even then, you're always learning, right?
Of course, yeah, because we're short-staffed. All right, so training 4 to 6 weeks, and then obviously a year. Okay.
Yeah, and the mentorship can last anywhere from like 3 months to 6 months usually.
Okay.
Yeah, so Robert, do you want to talk about planning for onboarding?
Well, it's consistent with code. For planning, it takes about a year for a junior planner to really understand municipal code, the zoning code, the general plan, and how to implement them.
Okay.
Can I just say ditto? It's about the same in building as well. For the permit center, it's 2 to 6 months for them really to be running on their own. Plan review is much more technical, so the engineers come in knowing about half their job really well, and we've got to train the other half. And then inspection, they've got a really great onboarding training program, and again, it's about a 6-month stint before they're really cut loose.
Great. No, that's very, very important to know. So indeed, after fire and police, and our folks are really being trained. It takes a while for them to learn. So with that, what are we doing to retain the employees that we already have so our vacancy rate doesn't continue to increase?
Yeah, so retention is one of those hardest pieces, firstly to measure, and then to really sort of get into meaningful differences, meaningful impacts across the entire department. One of the areas that we're really focusing on right now is ensuring that, again, within the context of what we call our management framework, which is sort of the customer service charter is a key initiative within a larger framework that we've built on how to manage the department, is to really think about how, in addition to onboarding and training staff that are doing the work, is how we're continually developing and training our managers. Certainly at the supervisor level and then at the middle management level. Because so much of what needs to occur, people are making decisions on where to work on a number of different factors, whether it's pay, whether it's location, whether it's family circumstances. But once you're at work, the reason you stay is because, you have meaningful connections to the people that you work with, to the work that you're doing. And so making sure that as a team, we're actively taking the time to train managers so that they know how to work with those people, to make sure that we're balancing their workloads effectively within the realms of possibility when you're largely overloaded. But then also, how do we just continue to develop them? It can't be this sort of static view of the world where, we hire somebody and assume they're going to stay with us for 30 years, which was the norm even sort of 10 years ago. Now, the reality is, if I look at every report that tells me time in position across the department, the average time in position across our department is less than 4 years. Yeah. They're probably, as I look at sort of some of the entry-level positions, the turnover rate is less than that, right? We're seeing sort of 2-year turnover. We have to, A, use our managers to make sure we're getting the most out of those people as we absolutely can within that period. But then B, how do we create an environment where they feel appreciated and they feel connected to that work, to sort of at least make them ask the question when it's time for them to move on, that they really want to consider staying because they enjoy, the work and that they find PBC as a best-in-class organization to work for.
Great, and we are the lowest, our planners are the lowest paid in Santa Clara County, correct?
So there's a lot of nuance to that statement. I think at the sort of very entry level, step one, planner one, possibly I'd have to look at the numbers, but then we actually keep pace sort of, higher up the ladder. So it's really about where we bring people in and kind of understanding, where they are on the pay scale relative to experience, which is always a challenge, right? Because especially as we start to look to local colleges and universities to bring in, brand new graduates to do the work, how do you level that against existing staff that are already employed?
Great, thank you. And this dashboard goes live tomorrow?
It does, yeah. So all of the links are live right now, so you can click on these links through the memo or the presentation. But starting tomorrow, there'll be, right, Alex? Yeah, right. Alex is nodding at me, that's good. There'll be a link from the PBC main page.
Great, and we're making a big splash about this because I know this is super important. A lot of our constituent concerns are about PBCE or lack of PBCE's involvement. So I hope that we're making a big splash because we want to let all of our residents in the city of San Jose of all walks of life know that PBCE is really doing their work and having it in this amazing dashboard that I'm excited to be playing with here.
Yeah, so absolutely. We're thinking about how best to sort of talk to that. We've already been out talking to a number of our customers and the development community about all this work because we wanted to get that feedback and input before we went fully live. So we've had some of those conversations, and as I said, as we continue to roll this out, we'll continue to keep people informed.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to you and your team. The work that you do is so critical and so hard, and has multiple challenges. So I really appreciate everyone who's doing their best there, and really having a hand in this very meaningful work. I just was wondering, when I understand that you have the ability to do the peak staffing and you're looking at multiple ways in which to solve the issues on the vacancies. does it make any sense, I mean, in terms of looking at what are the needs short-term and long-term, to think about what could possibly be done with a partner in workforce development? Because I think that over time, this is going to continue to happen. And as we have less individuals going into these fields, we have to expand the way in which we introduce a young person to the possibility of working for the city, whether it's in building, whether it's in planning, whether, whatever it is, code enforcement, whatever it is, and that there are opportunities. But, if they don't have any exposure, sometimes, they look at the city and say, oh, well, that's boring over there or whatever. And so I do know that there are potential partners who do workforce development for young people, and I thought, if there was a potential academy that can train young people to say, this is a step in that direction, that may be a possibility, because not everybody goes to college. Right? And so, there are plenty of training programs that allow a young person to explore. So I was thinking, that's another avenue that could be a possibility. And, I just think that we have to look at multiple ways in which to address the issue, because coming from the education space, the shortage of teachers has been forever. Right? And so, we're always looking for alternative ways of bringing others into the fold, because you're never going to have enough. So if I could be of help, and I know if my colleagues would be very interested in those kinds of possibilities. I know that Councilmember Ortiz has worked very much in this workforce development space, and there might be a pilot that we can try, because this issue is not going to go away. And I do know that, once you get someone on board and they start liking, the work, then they get promoted into another. Then all of a sudden you have a vacancy somewhere else. So I think that that being creative in that way is something that perhaps might be another alternative.
Yeah, thanks for that, Councilmember. It's absolutely the right point, and we've spent sort of a considerable amount of time thinking about how we hire and who we hire, right? And I think one of those areas that we've specifically looked at and we're going to continue to explore is what are the pathways that we create within the department. So quite often we post a position and there are minimum requirements, whether it's education or experience, and that's the entry level. And we don't create an efficient pathway into that position by creating that sort of half step for people that maybe don't have college, or maybe have different experience, or a different type of degree even. We've had issues where some of our listings for positions have certain requirements, right, and specific to the degree. And if you don't quite meet that requirement, then you're not eligible for the position. So, we need to think about that a lot more creatively, because you're right, this problem is not going away. And certainly in key parts of the department, within certain sort of the verticals, especially, think about things like inspection, where we've traditionally hired, from the field, from contractors. And we're seeing shortages in the private sector on that side.
Right.
And so thinking about how we create those pathways internally is going to be critical to our long-term success.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Batra.
Chris, you mentioned about the retention and the time and job, a couple of years now versus 30 years in the past. One of the things to keep in mind is that the newer generation of people, they may be wanting a variety in their job, so they may not necessarily want to leave city of San Jose. If you can convince them to or show them that there are going to be somewhat related jobs there. So even if you lose them, hopefully city of San Jose doesn't lose them, and whatever experience can transfer there. Similarly, other departments could give you some of their people, if you can identify the close enough people and make sure that they understand there's an opportunity to work in variety of things you're doing and anything closely related to your things so that we get the full benefit for the city of San Jose may not necessarily be in one particular department. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. I couldn't agree more. I was one of those people. I started with the department in 2006 and then transitioned out to another department for a while and then came back. And what I'll tell you is that starting your career in the planning department sets you up for working in any job in City Hall, because you learn how to give presentations, how to talk to the public, how to write memos, how to do sort of thoughtful analysis. So completely agree. I think, you know, one of those things that we're focused on, and so the internal training that we're doing around supervisors and managers, we call that our leadership syllabus. It's a programmatic approach to ongoing development in that kind of middle management level. And we take a really thoughtful approach on just the basics and fundamentals around how we do. And one of those that we have done recently was on succession planning, and not succession planning from the perspective of who fills the spot next, but how do you continue to develop staff, understanding that, you know, what's best for them may not be staying with the department, but ultimately having, you know, engaged and happy staff is going to benefit us for the period that we have them with us. And so absolutely, that's philosophically our approach to working with our staff and developing them. And those are the types of things that we're trying to build on internally.
And you started out a internship program with Metro Ed, right?
We've done some work. I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
We're not currently, I don't think we currently have a program in place, but I know we've done some work in the past.
Like some of your skill requirement may be better filled from places like Metro Ed than from the colleges. And so I think the city of San Jose has certainly developed some partnership with them. Your department particularly may or may not, but that would be certainly a place to look for some of your employees. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or future employees.
That would be great.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I just have sort of a knee-jerk response, though, when we hear, okay, we can look at another department and say, oh, there's someone over there that we can then poach. I'll call it poaching. Because the first place they go to, Councilmember Batra, is your city council office, and they're going to look for someone at your office, and they're going to say, that person would be great in code enforcement. And before you know it, that person has left you, and then you have a vacancy. So we all have vacancies, and it's a huge problem within the city. So and we do a really good job of training, and then they leave. And it makes me nervous to hear there may be other people within the city who can go and move around. But I'm just thinking out of the box, and I know this is a long discussion. We have 2 more items, and I would ask my colleagues for indulgence, but then let's move quickly for the next 2 items so we can not be here till midnight, because we're going to have a long council meeting tomorrow, I have a feeling. But what I'm thinking about, and obviously the vacancies is a big deal in all of the different departments. That's really, really important. But I'm thinking this is somewhat real estate related, and you all know my background is in real estate, and I'm thinking, isn't there a group of people who might be good inspectors, for example, like the home inspection world, who may not be as busy as they have in the past because there aren't as many real estate sales, but they know housing, they know electrical, they know plumbing, they know all those things. So how hard would it be to recruit and train them? So what I'd love to do is maybe take this conversation offline and figure out how we might be able to dig into the real estate community who we may not be thinking of them, certainly maybe not the salespeople, but there's a lot of support people who might be helpful in this area who have some expertise. So, I mean, obviously that's a big deal, is recruitment. And then I'm happy to hear that you're trying to reduce the processing time, because frankly, that's a frustration. If it takes a month to to bring someone in, to go through the process, they could have been hired 3 or 4 times, and they're looking at, I need to get a paycheck, I need to pay my mortgage, or I need to pay my medical expenses. So anything we can do to speed that up. Thank you so much for this report. I really love the dashboard. I'd love to figure out a way to distribute it to our community as well. So maybe whoever's the best writer over there can help us come up with some bullet points on that we could maybe put in our newsletters and interest people on how to sort of navigate the system and what it all means now.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that, council member. I'll follow up and provide that.
Okay, great, wonderful. With that, I will entertain a motion to accept. Great, thank you. Is there a second? Okay, then let's vote. Thank you, motion passes. And thank you so much for that presentation, very helpful. Obviously, we had a lot on our minds. Next report is also your department, but I think Michael Brio is coming. City Initiatives Roadmap, Citywide Planning Activity Status Report. Michael, are you taking lead on this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
So Michael Brio, Deputy Director of Citywide Planning within PBCE, and I'm joined by Martina Davis, who is the Division Manager on Citywide Planning. Ooh, that's kind of small. Anyway, so what we're going to talk to you about today is overall activity report on what citywide planning has been up to, both our work items that we're progressing on and our accomplishments. But we're also going to quickly touch upon our the citywide dashboard component of our customer service charter. And basically what we have, the way we've developed our customer service dashboard component is really looking at our work items, the totality of our work items, versus the staffing resources that we currently have, as well as identifying the amount of staff we would need to actually complete all of the work items in our work program. And so I'll dig into the bar chart in just a second, but essentially on the right is our project workload and on the left is our staffing level. So the purpose of this is really for us to understand what we're realistically able to take on and complete in our work program, to help us identify where, if possible, we could potentially get more resources to complete the work. And also, as priorities change or new things come up, whether it's from council or the state of California has mandates that we have to fulfill, we can look at what we have on our plate now and how we might shift things off onto hold or a backlog and move resources around to complete new items, or at least have that conversation about that. On the right is a list of all of our work. Not all of our work, all of our sort of significant work items that we currently have with a status of them. So you'll be able to see, like, well, where is Yigby, for example? Well, let's see, that one's on hold. It doesn't necessarily say why it's on hold. You could follow up with a phone call or an email, but where it is active, it has estimated completion dates as well. So you get a sense of when that work item would be completed. And then at the bottom, of course, it says the FTE of all of this work. If we were able to do all this work, how many staff persons we need. And FTE, of course, is a full-time equivalent. So it's an assumption it's an analysis of how many full-time staff would you need in a year to do this work. Those numbers that you see, of course, are not one staff person. There's multiple staff people working on any given item, so it kind of factors in. For example, on, let's see, citywide, well, let me see, Capital Caltrain stationary plan is 0.5 FTE. That's actually more than one person, so there's two people that are really heavy involved in that. So of all of their time, which would be FTE of 2, it would occupy 1/4 of each staff person's time, roughly speaking. So I think this is kind of the big takeaway is to understand just, our team's workload relative to our staffing level. Currently, we have 14.1 active projects, which were listed on the previous slide. We have a backlog of 6.8 items. These are items that were not, what's that? I'm sorry, we have FTE. We have active 14.1 FTE working. We have, of our active projects, we need 14.1 FTE, and we need, and of our backlog, we have the need for 6.8 full-time equivalent staff people to complete the backlog. Backlog are items that we're not working on right now. They're items that we don't have a defined project schedule. It's still TBD. We may need more resources to complete the work. We would sort of move on to those things as the active things are completed. And then we have items that are on hold. We have the equivalent of 3.1 full-time equivalent employees, work items that are on hold. These are items that could be on hold for a number of reasons. The items that we currently are on hold because of staff departures, where we have vacancies and there's no one to do the work, frankly. But once we fill those positions or are able to shift some work around, we would reinitiate those projects. And then we have an FTE equivalent of 1.7 on committed items. These are items that we're not currently working on, but we have a plan to initiate the work, and we have whatever resources we needed to initiate that work. So we're planning to move forward on those. And then on the right side, of course, you see our staffing levels. Currently, citywide planning has 22 positions that is primarily city staff, but does include 3 peak staffer or consultant positions. So of those 22 positions, we have 10 that are filled, we have 9 that are vacant, and we have 3 peak staffers. And peak staffers essentially function like staff. They're not city staff people, but they sit at a desk and they operate just like staff people. There's a lot of advantages, of course, for using peak staffing, and particularly in a situation we're having with the staffing challenges that we do have. I will say that we are just completing a recruitment for the Planner 1, 2, 3 series, and out of that recruitment, 3 new planners will be starting on Monday, so that vacant status of 9 is going to go down to 3, so that's really good news. We were not able to fill all of our vacancies in the current planner recruitment that has ended, but we are quickly flipping it around and running another recruitment. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to fill the remaining vacancies when that recruitment is completed later, I would imagine in the spring. So just kind of going over the whole team, there's a deputy director and 22 full-time staff, both consultant staff and city staff. There actually are 8 teams in citywide planning, but one of them is on hold, so there's only 7 active teams currently, and that includes the housing team, Climate Smart, Ordinance and Policy, which is primarily the zoning code, sign ordinance, and council policy work, the general plan team, urban village planning team, stationary planning team, and the citywide planning team. And Martina, I'm going to turn it over to her. She's going to walk through kind of a status and all the work on all of those teams.
Thank you, Michael. So I'm going to start with the housing team. They have probably the largest body of work on our citywide planning in total, which is our housing element update. This is a state mandate that every 8 years we update the housing element of our general plan. It is our turn along with the rest of the Bay Area cities. So this is something we've been working on well over a year. After some extensive outreach, we hit a milestone in September of submitting our draft document to the State Department of Housing and Community Development for a mandated 90-day review. Purpose of that is for them to provide comments to us, let us know, are we on the right track? Does this look like something that's going to get certified? Do we need to make corrections? Ultimately, they will need to certify the document. So we received our comments back from them in December. The good news is that they didn't ask us to make any major course corrections. The comments really are more around providing additional data, analysis, and justification for our proposals. So we are working right now to address those. We've pulled staff actually from other citywide planning teams to help get this across the finish line. We are also starting the environmental impact report process, and we'll have this all back to council in June. I want to highlight something that I think is a great highlight of our housing team. We have the Destination Home Planner. This is a position that's funded by the nonprofit Destination Home to provide essentially special service to affordable housing developments that provide significant components of supportive housing or extremely low income housing. In the past year, we've approved 327 units, that planner, and we currently have 2,406 much needed affordable units under review. I'll also highlight that image is an award that we were given by the developer Affirmed Housing for our work on the city's first SB 35 Streamline project, which is just recently been occupied at the corner of Alum Rock and Foss. So that was something that was done by that Destination Home Planner. We figured out that SB 35 process and really streamlined that development. Next team I'll touch on is Climate Smart. This is a team of one, and this planner has been working in conjunction with the Department of Transportation to get the parking and transportation demand ordinance to council, and that was approved by council in December. We are the largest city in the United States to largely remove mandatory minimum parking requirements. We also updated our transportation demand management program to streamline it, to provide more predictability there, and to align it with our CEQA review. Transportation demand management is items that a development may propose to help provide more options to people for transportation other than just drive-alone car trips. So for example, a transportation demand management plan for a development might include them doing bus passes, for example, for for their residents, bike lanes, that kind of stuff. We've required those in the past, but our process was kind of all over the place, to be honest. So as part of this ordinance, we really streamlined and modernized that. This is a major accomplishment. Transportation is the largest greenhouse gas emitter by sector in San Jose, so this is very important to meeting our climate smart goals. It will become effective in April, so we're working on some last minute changes to implement it, so update to application forms, update to website materials, et cetera. The ordinance and policy team, we have about a year ago actually brought to council the update to our cannabis business ordinance to allow the cannabis businesses to open a second location in commercial zoning districts, as well as to allow equity applicants to do such. That's been mixed success. I am happy to tell you that we do have one business who has secured a location. We've issued a zoning verification certificate. So we do have one success, but we are hearing that they're having a hard time, both due to factors that are in our control and outside of our control. So we were directed by council last fall to go ahead and update the things that we can control, which is our setbacks to sensitive uses specifically. We found that to be a constraint or requirement to maintain 1,000 feet to certain uses has made it very difficult, if almost impossible, for many of these businesses to find a location. I think in the memo we had said fall, but we know that this is a priority. We know the industry is very much waiting. We are working on staffing plan to get this back to council by summer. Another major body of work on the ordinance team is our Coyote Valley Corridor study. We embarked on that last year. That was some council direction. What that is studying the properties on the east side of Monterey Road throughout Coyote Valley, so pretty much from the city limits to the power plant. Looking at, can we allow more commercial uses that are still compatible with and supportive of the agricultural and open space character of the area? So we're going to have a consultant do a study. There's also going to be some pretty significant environmental review associated with that, and we expect to have that back to council in 2024, likely summer or fall. Two items that will be coming to council much sooner are the Evergreen East Hills Development Policy and the 5-1 policy update. For the Evergreen Hills policy, this is a transportation development policy that's based on essentially the old way of doing transportation analysis. We have received direction from council to go ahead and essentially sunset it. And so new projects moving forward would be able to come in under our more modern vehicle miles traveled policy for their transportation analysis. So we need to, essentially bring the resolution to modify that policy to make it no longer apply to new development. We're projecting bringing that to council in spring. We are also going to return in spring with outreach recommendations around projects that trigger an environmental impact report under the vehicle miles traveled policy that require an overriding considerations. The policy was updated by council in December. We did get some additional direction to come back with some more recommendations around outreach for those categories of projects. There are a number of upcoming work items on the ordinance and policy team, and it's really about getting the staffing to get working on these. Some of them are council priorities, some of them are kind of placed on us outside of our control, like the amendments to address state law changes. So some of these, we're looking at getting started, bringing back in the fall. Some are a little bit more open-ended, depending on when we can get that staffing to have those worked on. Our general plan team, as of about a year ago, I think was totally vacant. We had lost all 3 staff members, so we had a new team come on last spring, and they really hit the ground running. By the end of the year, we brought to council 2 city-initiated general plan amendments. One would require private development applicants to submit an actual project application in conjunction with their general plan amendment. So when council looks at changing the general plan, council, the public, and staff can have kind of a more holistic view of what's being proposed. So we're looking at the project, not just the color on the map. Council also adopted a policy to remove all commercial requirements for affordable housing developments. So in zoning districts, for example, where housing can happen, but only in a mixed use form, if the project is 100% affordable, they would not need to provide it as mixed use. We found the mixed use has been a constraint for affordable housing developments. I need to verbally make a correction on this slide. The upcoming is actually April 2023, not 2024. I mean, we might be back in 2024 with this too, but I can tell you definitely in 2023, coming up, we have some privately initiated general plan amendments and our general plan annual performance review report for council. Next team, or teams, because they're related, we have on one slide, is our urban village and station area planning. So for station area planning, the main body of work is the 5 Wounds Urban Village Plan update. This is actually a combined update of 5 urban village plans in proximity of our future 28th Street and Little Portugal BART station. It is a joint effort between the city and VTA. It's using the VTA's transit-oriented development playbook to kind of re-look at the development capacities and land uses within those urban villages. Big change is we had been planning for a lot of jobs and not as much housing. Kind of our market studies are showing that really the market would support the opposite. So we are reducing the capacity for new employment in that area and increasing residential capacity and changing land use and policies around that. We had started work on the station area plan, the Capitol Station area plan. That's about 16 acres right around the Monterey Road near the Capitol Caltrain station. If anyone's familiar with Tony DiMaggio's Stromboli, right around there. We had started work on that, but due to staff vacancies, that's currently on hold. Our urban village planning team has been vacant for about over a year now. Happy to say that we do have new staff starting Monday. So we will have that team fully filled as of Monday. And once those staff are onboarded, we are going to start working on 2 urban village plans. One of them is Alum Rock east of 680, and the other one is looking at a market-ready urban village in West San Jose. So we want to see kind of where the market is hottest for development and focus on that plan there. And we do have funding for both of those plans. And as of Monday, we'll have the staff, so very exciting. So then I will, I believe, end with our citywide planning team, which is our team that currently is focusing on aligning the zoning with the general plan. This is a requirement of state law. San Jose is in a somewhat unique position that we had not kept those aligned. As we updated our general plan, looked for future development, what we want to see in 2040, we did not go back and update our zoning ordinance. So, and we haven't done that in several general plans. So we end up with the situation where we've got had approximately 12,000 properties where the general plan said build one thing, the zoning said build something else. often entirely in conflict. And that's a problem. It's a problem for development. It's a problem for using your property. You run into tricky permitting situations. We had identified this ourselves actually as an issue we needed to tackle, and at the same time, the state legislature adopted a law that said cities need to tackle this issue. So as I mentioned, we are systematically changing the zoning on about 12,000 properties to conform to our Envision San Jose 2040 general plan land uses. We've completed about 4,600 and have about 7,000 left. We are anticipating on being complete with that by December of this year. And that team is going to start transitioning to another council-directed body of work, which is our mobile home park land use designation changes. So this is changing the land use in our general plan and changing the zoning along with it to make them actually mobile home park designated. Most of our mobile home parks are not designated for a mobile home. They're designated as something else, maybe commercial, it could be industrial, it could be higher density housing, for example. So we will be going and making general plan amendments on all of them. As of now, we have a mid-year budget request in to start 13 parks. As soon as that, if and when that gets approved in the spring, we will start that work. And then we have submitted a budget request for the remaining 44 for next year's budget to go ahead and do those amendments and the associated environmental review that would be required. And oh, come on, I believe that was it. Oh, yep, that's it. That concludes my report, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Martina. A lot of good information. Let's turn to the members of the public.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Hold on a sec, everyone. Yeah, hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks a lot for this item. It's like a really important point for myself that for the future of you're going to be upgrading, you want to be upgrading the future of the billboard issues that, from the previous administration. You're feeling that by removing the blight of previous billboards, by taking out the blight and then moving to electronic billboards is somehow like a sensible answer. I really am in strong disagreement about the future of the electronic billboard as some sort of savior or digital innovation for our future. You're basically exploiting everyday people and allowing, their data and their privacy to be sucked up by commercial companies to do whatever they want with it. And that means selling the data to law enforcement and commercial entities at the national level, no matter how good your local policies are. You guys have to learn to be really open about that. If you're going to continue to talk about this subject, it has to be a clear and open subject for ourselves. We got to move forward in those terms. It has to be clear and open how we talk about this to have a decent conversation about it. You can't hide behind things the way you used to. This is incredibly exploitive, fearful work that it's not only going to do commercial exploitation, it's going to have surveillance as well. And so I'm just not happy with this sort of arrangement that you feel you're somehow removing blight. You're creating a new sort of blight that you really have to learn to openly talk about. And I think many of us don't want this sort of project to go through. Thank you for your time.
Back to the committee.
I just want to clarify something regarding mobile homes before I move on to Councilmember Ortiz. Martina, you had mentioned that if it's approved, that we would go forward with the rezoning. But I thought our last council meeting on the 14th, we had a review of the budget and we did approve the funding. Did we not? Or am I
I haven't heard otherwise.
misrepresenting what
So my
happened?
understanding, the money has gone forward, so we would get the money soon and we would initiate the work. Yeah, I think so. But it would still be spring. Spring is only 3 weeks away, and we still have to go through a process. We have to hire a piece.
No, Michael, that wasn't my question.
Oh,
And
okay.
I understand. No,
That
I know
was my
I know
mistake.
it's
That was
not
my
happening
mistake.
tomorrow.
Okay.
The question was, on the slide, it said if approved. And then the comment was made about budget process and did we approve the budget? But it seemed to me that on the 14th council meeting, we approved the budget augmentation for that item.
Awesome. I actually was not here, but I'm assuming that is the case.
Because you were out with your wife on Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
Who I met her the other day, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's the only comment I had. Thank you very much. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. And thank you for the report. Great overview. So many real hot topics that we're all, I'm sure, interested in discussing. I had originally 5 questions. I'm going to chop some of them to make it a little bit quicker. But my first is in regards to the cannabis ordinances that we're currently working on. Has our planning staff interfaced with our intergovernmental team to look at AB 374, the Cannabis Local Control and Cannabis Consumption? It's being authored by Assemblymember Matt Haney in regards to cannabis lounges.
Yeah, we've reviewed it with IGR. As of now, we haven't taken any positions on any bills. From our reading, it wouldn't compel the city to do anything, but it would provide more options should the city want to look at cannabis lounges for how those lounges could operate. So we're watching it as of right now.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. My next questions are in regards to the urban village planning. And I heard that you just hired the new team and they're going to be coming in soon. But I had first a clarifying question. Are we halting new urban village plans, or are there still going to be conversations about creating new urban villages? Because it seems like I get mixed answers depending on who I talk to.
Well, so I mean, the work of urban village planning has been on hold for a while because we haven't had a team, and now that we have a team, we're going to initiate 2 projects that have been on our work program. One of them has been on the work program for 3 years at least, which is Alum Rock East. So we have money from a Caltrans grant, and so we're going to initiate that project. There's some work that was done, background work on it, but we're going to really get it going. So that's been on our work program for a long time, and we plan to move forward with that one. The other one is the council gave us $400,000 to initiate a real estate market-ready urban village in West San Jose. And so one of the things the team is going to do is dig into that and come up with a recommendation on which village we would recommend moving forward with. So we do plan to initiate a village somewhere in one of the villages in West San Jose. But beyond that, the question is money, right? So typically, with the exception of the market-ready village plan, the city of San Jose does not give us money to do these plans. We get money through grants, and grants have proven to be a bit problematic at times. We don't always get them. They require often a very bloated process that means the village plan takes a very long time to complete. So I think that we can definitely have a conversation about doing more of them. What we're looking at doing is kind of coming up with a more streamlined process, while at the same time doing the engagement that we should be doing. We don't want to shortchange that.
Okay. Piggyback question on that, because I talked to, we've been calling Alum Rock Village an urban village, but I speak to some members of my community, and they say it's not an urban village yet because it doesn't have a plan. So is it an urban village, or isn't it?
So there's 3 Alum Rocks, but the Alum Rock you're speaking of between King and Jackson is an urban village. It is designated such in a general plan, and the zoning that was approved by council in 2013 per the general plan is considered the village plan for that urban village. Now I understand it's why the community does not think that is not an urban village plan, because if you look at other areas and you look at the document, it has lots of nice pictures and policies and all that they don't have that document. So, I mean, I think, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, great. So then finally, my next set of questions is in regards to the 5 Wounds Urban Village plan. So I think it's great what you all are doing, but can you explain to me why, in the papers that I've read, the Alum Rock Urban Village is not included in the Five Wounds project, but it does include the Little Portugal Urban Village. And I have a lot of residents, small business owners, families who are concerned about BART. They're concerned about gentrification and how they assume when BART's going to get here, which it will spur a lot of development. What were the thoughts of leaving the Alum Rock Urban Village out of that equation? 'Cause it seems like the urban village plan definitely expands into District 3, which it definitely should, but I just don't feel like Little Portugal, which is extremely important, but it doesn't go deep enough into my district. I feel like the entire Alum Rock corridor is going to be impacted. So I just wanted to hear what thoughts were made when deciding to leave them out.
Sure. So, well, two things. One is Alum Rock is not entirely left out, but I'll get to that in a second. So there's two parts of the planning work. One is on actually updating the Five Wounds Urban Village plan. I should say plans. There are four urban village plans that we collectively call Five Wounds.
Yeah.
They're all prepared together by the community with. And there are Five Wounds, Little Portugal, 24th and William, and Roosevelt Park. So they collectively are known as the Five Wounds plan. So this process and the money that we were able to get was only enough to fund the update of the Five Wounds Village plans and not the other plans out that are adjacent to it. And there's more than just Alum Rock. There's also East Santa Clara. So that's the plans themselves. It talks about what land uses will go where. Are we going to change them? Any urban design sort of policies or standards? Talking about maybe circulation that updating the plan related to that, et cetera. The other part of the process, though, is about the issue of coming up with a plan to mitigate or to address potential displacement of both businesses and residents. And that could be from direct displacement in that a building gets knocked down and to build a new, let's say, mixed-use 5-story apartment building and the people physically are removed. Or it could be from gentrification just because the rents are rising from BART, the BART investment, or just because that's what's happening. And that body of work is the boundaries of that work goes beyond the Five Wounds urban villages. It actually extends into Alum Rock as well as onto East Santa Clara urban village. So it's a much larger radius because the impact of potential displacement because of BART and investment in the area is not just going to be limited to the Five Wounds villages. It'll have a spillover effect.
But what determined what the Five Wounds villages was? What determined that Alum Rock wasn't a part of the Five Wounds village?
Well, so Alum Rock is not part of the Five Wounds villages.
I'm asking what determined that?
So that was part of the general plan process in 2007 through 2011.
Okay. So those other urban villages back in 2007 was determined to be a part of this overall Five Wounds village plan, is what you're telling me.
Correct. Yeah, it would have been. Actually, it was approved by council in 2011. So 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that there is going to be anti-displacement resources for the Alum Rock corridor. I definitely feel that's important. As we look at, I was going to say through the urban village plan, but through other forms of planning, is there a way to put in some sort of zoning? I know other cities are doing it. Right of first refusal for these buildings that may be going through development so that these commercial spaces, the tenants that are currently there, if there is development going on at that property, they can have a right to first refusal when the space opens up at the same rate that was offered to them originally.
I mean, that's something we've talked about. It's something that definitely could be considered. We could explore that. There are real challenges related to once a building is knocked down and the businesses that were there and trying to get them back. So that's something we could explore, but I'm saying there's much larger challenges to that issue than that, unfortunately.
And then that goes into my next question. Something that's I've seen done in other cities, sometimes it could be done through like a historical designation, but when there is development, they build around the look and feel and cultural significance of the area. Obviously, this area is known as Little Portugal, Five Wounds. It's a very heavy Portuguese community. I want to make sure, one, the Portuguese community is aging, so I want to make sure we're retaining the architecture and style and look. Is there any policies we could implement through, or ordinances we can input through the zoning to make sure that as development goes, it's built around architecture and look and feel that currently exists?
So generally, yes. So that's one of the things that the urban village plans can address, and that's something that could be addressed in the update. I should just make it clear that, as you're aware, that there's many state laws that are coming out of Sacramento. They don't stop. We're always getting more and more. And one of the state laws that came through was signed by the governor fairly recently. In the past, we might have design guidelines, for example, about the architecture and how it should be reflective of the Portuguese or maybe the Mediterranean heritage and that sort of thing. So we have to be very mindful how we do that, because state laws now have to, you can't enforce those kind of guidelines. You actually have to say the buildings have to have tile roofs, they have to have stucco, they have to be white, or whatever that is. So I think we can do that, and the question is like how is that actually carried out in the plan? It can be more aspirational and sort of like encourage, but if you want it more than that, it gets a little more complicated, but not impossible.
Well, this definitely complicated. I think our community deserves it. So looking forward to the conversation around those.
Are you finished, Councilmember Ortiz?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Then moving on to Councilmember Torres. And before you begin, I would just remind everybody that we have one more report item after this. So if you could be brief on your questions, that would be great. And maybe if you have something specific to an area that isn't overall citywide, that maybe have a conversation offline.
Great. Two things. Thank you so much for that presentation. I want to echo what some of my colleagues up here have been talking about. We really have to do this right when it comes to urban villages. And when I say do it right, is that we make sure that we're not displacing our neighbors and our small businesses as these urban villages come up. So that's very important, and I'm glad that we're going to continue to have these very important conversations, especially that we're watching the market when it comes to, originally there was going to be more office workers than residents, but now it's vice versa, so that's very important to know. The other one is mobile homes. I've been dealing with a lot of constituent concerns when it comes to mobile homes. Very important that we preserve our mobile homes. It is still one of the most affordable places that you can live in our city of San Jose. But with that affordability also come challenges, as we know. And so I want to make sure that as we preserve these mobile home parks, that we're also making sure that our city is dealing with a lot of the issues that come with mobile homes. As of right now, in our office, we're dealing with infrastructure needs of these mobile homes. We're dealing with code enforcement issues, and I know that our city can't officially go in there and fix them because they're overseen by state agency, a state law, as the state. And so it's making harder for us to go in there and deal with these concerns, but also very important to make sure that we're preserving our mobile home parks. And before I shoot it over back to the chair, I want a motion to accept this report.
Great, thank you. Moving on to Vice Mayor Kamei.
Thank you. I will look forward to speaking to you about what's going to happen in the West Urban Village Plan. I think that's very exciting, so thank you so much for that. But I'll do that offline. I had a question regarding the legislation supporting Yes in God's Backyard at the state level, the SB4. And, since it would supersede the city's proposals, I'm just wondering, is that something that we should discontinue because it's going to change things or, save us some resources?
Yeah, so regarding, so council gave us direction, well, yeah, so we're related to YIGB, we put that work on pause. However, council gave us direction to change the definition in PQP that would facilitate housing on assembly use land, churches, mosques, temples, and that sort of thing. That work is on hold right now because the staff person working on that has been working on the housing element. And I think where we're at right now, we could, I think we plan to take it up again, but you bring up a very good point, council member, and our sense is because of Scott Wiener's SB4, that it's better that we kind of track that bill and see how it's doing, and that may take care of the issue and more for us, right, and negate the need for us to go separately to council with our own general plan amendment. So we're going to be tracking that bill, and we may decide to just hold off and see what happens in Sacramento before we move forward.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's vote. Great, that motion carries. Finally, last item is another roadmap, housing stabilization, eviction prevention, and housing stability status report. Rachel, I assume you're the lead on this.
Good afternoon,
Welcome.
Chair and committee members. Welcome to all of you. This is my first time in CD in 2023, so glad to be here. So today we're going to be providing an update to you on the eviction prevention whole program that we have implemented over the past couple of years. This is an update. There's no official action for you, but we just really wanted to share information and have a dialogue with you today. So I am joined today by Emily Hyssop. She's our division manager for the whole rental program. And then, of course, I am Rachel Vanderveen. I'm the assistant director to the housing department. You can go. All right, so during the pandemic, the housing department implemented several different programs in order to increase stability for our renters. These programs were designed to provide relief for the most vulnerable residents of our community. In order to create effective programs, multiple funding sources were used, most of them being one-time in nature, but also a few that had some ongoing funding related to it. Also, what we would like to do today is just to provide an overview of each one of these programs. So Emily's going to go ahead and take the presentation from here, and she's going to dive into each aspect and provide more information.
Thank you, Rachel. Emily Hyslop, Division Manager in the Housing Department. Good afternoon, Chair Foley and committee members. So I'm going to talk about the three main efforts that in eviction prevention that we've engaged in over the last couple of years. These new programs include the Eviction Help Centers, the Eviction Diversion and Settlement Program, and the Eviction Prevention Court Clinic. All three of these programs were created due to the increasing need of support due to the pandemic and pandemic recovery. The primary goal of these programs is to increase housing stability for renters. So we'll go on to the first one. Our Eviction Help Centers, which were established in about August 2021. The Eviction Help Center is staffed by Housing Department personnel and primarily has assisted tenants and property owners in applying for and tracking, oops, I forgot to advance the slide, sorry about that, federal emergency rental assistance. It has operated at multiple locations, and currently at the Tully Road Lion Plaza location, Law Foundation staff is on hand 3 times a week for legal consultation services, which is available to tenants who are at imminent risk of eviction. I just want to note that a concerted effort was made to target the most vulnerable areas, primarily on the east side, and a later slide will show the results of that effort. In addition to legal consultation and federal emergency rental assistance, tenants are also connected to other resources that might be available to them. Our second effort program has been the Eviction Diversion and Settlement Program. This program was created and implemented in collaboration with community partners and helps tenants pay past due rent to stop pending unlawful detainer, which is eviction, lawsuits cases. Our partners include Sacred Heart, Destination Home, and the Project Sentinel Court Mediation Program. But we also have established good partnerships with the landlord and tenant attorneys. We launched this program in response to the state rent relief program really abruptly ending in March 31st, 2022, when we knew many tenants were still struggling and still being economically impacted by COVID-19. We were able to utilize some remaining federal emergency rental assistance round one money and an existing contract with Sacred Heart. These were left over from the local rent relief program, so we were able to use these to create and implement the program. That federal money had to be expended by September 30th of 2022, and in the fall, the council approved a new contract with Sacred Heart so we could continue the program using some available Measure E money. The third program we have, the third program, I just want to distinguish this from the other efforts, is this weekly eviction prevention UD clinic. The objective of this is to bring parties together who are involved in active eviction lawsuits to resolve their disputes and get connected with other available resources in order to avoid court-ordered evictions. It is staffed by our housing department, eviction help center personnel, court self-help employees, as well as nonprofit community service partners, and is located in the Superior Court building once a week. The clinic is really a step forward in a several years long effort to establish a housing collaborative court as part of the unlawful detainer process. We don't have any jurisdiction over the court, but getting our foot in the door this way is one step towards that goal. We soft launched on June 1st of 2022, and so far 269 people involved in an eviction lawsuit have been assisted at the clinic, 187 tenants and 82 landlords. Just want to quickly note that since October 2021, Help Center staff have been on hand during the eviction court calendars 2 to 3 times a week to assist parties with their state rent relief applications, earlier on when that was still going, and now more recently to seek out cases for the Eviction Diversion and Settlement Program. So what are the results of these efforts so far? With the Federal Emergency Rental Assistance COVID money in San Jose, 10,801 households received a total of almost $130 million of that federal emergency rental assistance, both through the locally run rent relief program that ran between May and September of 2021 and the state-run California COVID-19 rent relief program, which closed to new applications in March of last year. The average payment to households was about $12,000, and the Eviction Help Center's primary focus was on helping residents, both landlords and tenants, and apply for this assistance, a process which could be complicated and required some digital literacy since the application was web-based. About 1,600 households were assisted with the application process, and many others had their questions answered and information through phone calls, emails, and outreach efforts. For the Eviction Diversion and Settlement Program, so far, the program has served 109 households, paying about $1.9 million in back rent to property owners to settle unlawful detainer cases and keep tenants stably housed. Property owners in exchange agreed to drop their cases when payment of the back rent was arranged. The program has about 59 more cases in progress, and right now we expect to hopefully serve just about 30 more households with the remaining funds that we have. I'm proud to show this slide. These are the 4 zip codes where we served the most, they were the top zip codes of residents that we have served. Though this is not a map of everyone served, it's a snapshot of these top 4 zip codes where residents we serve live, And this represents about 43% of the household the Help Center has assisted in the last couple years. These were also the zip codes that experienced the highest rate of COVID-19 in the city and the zip codes we were directed to focus on. So the different color dots just are about what point in the process we served people, but this is people that we helped get access to rental assistance money and stay stably housed. Most important of part of this presentation, the challenges we are facing. Though to qualify for COVID-19 rental relief funds, you just had to be low income. For San Jose recipients, most of them, or 62%, were extremely low income households and 23% very low income households. Just for example, a family of 4 earning less than $49,700 annually is considered extremely low income. These households continue to be at risk of displacement, of eviction, and of housing insecurity. In recent months, eviction filings in Superior Court have reached pre-pandemic levels, and court calendars have been packed. Legal aid organizations, like many nonprofits, have struggled with staffing in recent years and also struggled to meet demand for assistance in responding to and defending eviction lawsuits. An additional challenge, as I alluded to, as we expected, the funds for our eviction diversion program have dwindled, and with some adjustments, we can only assist about 20 to 30 more families with the funds we currently have. There is no other funding sources identified that would allow us to continue this program. We expect to have to close the program to new cases in the next month. Just want to note that most of the eviction filings are based on non-payment of rent, and in reality, the only thing that can help avoid the eviction is for that rent to be paid. Mediators and attorneys can help soften the blow by helping a tenant negotiate a move-out date or sometimes a payment plan, but most of the time, eviction is inevitable in these cases. So what are our next steps? Right now, our eviction help centers, the staffing where we help connect people to legal resources, have walk-in hours, help people understand the eviction process, is only funded until June 30th of this year. And the Eviction Diversion and Settlement Program, the contract with Sacred Heart is funded through the end of the fiscal year, but as I just mentioned, the funds will likely be depleted much sooner. However, the Eviction Prevention Court Clinic is not intended to be a temporary program. It's the goal of all the partners to make the courthouse clinic a permanent program, but we will need to be able to staff it to be able to continue to further our presence at court. The data collected by the Housing Department through the Apartment Rent Ordinance, Tenant Protection Ordinance, and Eviction Help Center programs continue to indicate that housing stability continues to be a risk for many tenant households. Thank you all for taking the time. I got through it pretty quickly, I hope. We are available for questions if you have any.
Very good. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Emily, for that presentation. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak?
No, there's no in-person and no hands up online.
Great. Then I'll move on to council colleagues and Councilmember Batra.
You mentioned about the number of cases, 10,000 plus you have saved from evictions. Now, and you're also saying that this thing needs to be continued. So were these eviction really triggered by the pandemic, or these are permanent eviction issues because these people don't have the right kind of jobs, whether pandemic or no pandemic?
Thank you for your question, Councilmember Batra. The 10,800, that's actually all the San Jose residents that applied for that COVID-19 emergency rental assistance. What the eviction diversion program and the people we're helping now, we're trying to ascertain that. I did pull some figures. So attachment C of the memo shows, so the Housing Department receives copies of unlawful detainers for covered properties. So we're able to kind of see some trends. We know it's not in the attachment, but I know from previous data that pre-pandemic unlawful detainer files at the court were about 200 to 250 a month. Just judging from what we see, we're about a third of that we receive. So on attachment C, you'll see in November we peaked. We got 295 unlawful detainer filings. But since then it's gone down, and we pulled the numbers for February. So from February 1st through 23rd, we've received 75 unlawful detainer lawsuits. That's considerably less. It's still not great. And 70 of them are for non-payment. So while that means that there's 75 people at risk, it's much less than 295. So if we look at 200 to 250 pre-pandemic, we don't have meaningful numbers pre-pandemic. We can say about a third of that is what the 75. So it looks like we might be back to our pre-pandemic problems. People don't earn enough money. We have a lot of people. I mean, there's plenty of studies that have come out.
Sure.
We have a ton of people making way below. The measure we have for income is kind of skewed, the area median income. And rent is, it goes up. It's not low. People were struggling, and any little hiccup can disrupt their whole world, and people are continuing to have that. So we're trying to look hard at the data to see what is pandemic and what was happening prior to the pandemic.
Yes, so yeah, it would be very helpful to get that data, because I think pandemic is hopefully one time event, and we took care of it as well as it could be with a lot of money given by the federal government and others. But our affordability of homes in this region is a constant problem developing over the years and continuing to become bigger. So it would be good to understand which problem are we trying to solve, because that's the only thing which will allow us to get the right solution in place. And now these people were given money to pay off one time their rent, which was in arrears, or was it on a monthly basis to sustain them?
No, this is a one-time payment that goes to the property owner.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Councilmember Ortiz. I'm sorry, Torres. You moved from one to the other. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you to the both of you, and thank you to our housing department, and thank you to our employees of the housing department, because without this, we would have much more folks unhoused in our city of San Jose, especially families, right? Because as you know, most of the folks that we probably saw were multifamily and had large families and so forth. So obviously we feared this, right? Eviction rates are skyrocketing here in the city of San Jose because we've ended it, right, already. So as folks managing this program, do you think that this program should be extended? Is there a need for it to be extended?
Yes, I think there is, especially the work that we're doing in the courts, where we're actually there at the moment of eviction. Eviction is like the most clear force of displacement in our community. We have lots of versions of displacement, but at the moment of eviction, there really is no other choice but to move. And so we believe that it's very important to be there at that moment and do whatever level of intervention we can. And so we're very proud of where we've come, because honestly, that is one difference. One, bright spot in the pandemic is that it was so severe, it brought us together, and we're now able to work with the court, to have a presence, just to have a whole system that's set up that never existed before here in Santa Clara County. Right. And so we want to continue to leverage that and be there in that moment.
And I just want to add that we did make reference to the White House Bill of Rights that was published, and on that list is eviction diversion. And I sat through a White House summit on eviction diversion, heard about programs from all across the country, And the most effective are the ones that have a number of pieces. And one of those pieces is one-time financial assistance to pay off the back rent to the landlord when the tenant is at court facing eviction. That was one of the, across all, one of the most effective pieces. So it doesn't have to be as large as some of the payments, but to have that tool at our disposal where we can help somebody bridge some gap, I think would be immensely impactful.
Great. And so, unfortunately, we know that this program ends on June 30th, 2023. So that's soon. So, okay. I do see. Thank you for that. I do see that I see that a lot of our folks were from 95112, 95122, 95116, and 95111. Those are obviously, they've always been zip codes that have been historically impacted with redlining and housing affordability. So this program goes away June 30th, right? What is our plan to keep folks housed if this program goes away?
I mean, I think that what we do is we rely back on the existing policies that we have in place, right? So we have our apartment rent ordinance, we have our tenant protection ordinance, we have our Ellis Act ordinance. So we have these tools and policies that are in place that generally provide protections, but again, they're all kind of limited in some way. And in the end, if someone can't pay their rent, that is a just cause for eviction. So what's complex about the problem is that it really kind of comes down to affordability and a lack of affordability and a lack of like the income to meet that, right? And so so that's a real challenge because the protections we have in place can't prevent against eviction because someone didn't pay their rent. So we can do what we can, but it will not necessarily help those who are in that moment of crisis.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I motion to accept this report.
Second. Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. First off, thank you so much for the presentation. Definitely a topic that keeps me up at night. The families in my district who are vulnerable to displacement, really across the city of San Jose. We all have areas within our district with vulnerability. Kind of piggybacking off of Councilmember Torres's comments in regards to when this program does end, what are some things that our city can do to divert evictions. And one thing I know is that the city's getting ready to explore, I believe, right to counsel. What are ways in which, I know that, right to counsel, we still got to vote on it, still got to flesh it out. Is there any way we could expedite right to counsel so that we can funnel some of these funds to keep our tenants housed?
We are intending to issue an RFP this spring to study the right to counsel, looking at other jurisdictions, what the costs and benefit are, but we also want the study to look at other alternatives. We've met with San Francisco and others to, that theirs is a program 20 years in the making and they still have their challenges. But we want to have that studied so we can see, is this worth an avenue worth going down, or are there other alternatives like the Housing Collaborative Court that we had talked about before, and how that might be achieved to help stave off some of these evictions. But it is our intent to get that RFP issued sooner rather than later, so we can have a study done by the end of the calendar year.
No, thank you. I mean, we should be looking at all avenues in which we can implement policy to divert displacement. I think that, for me, that's my number one issue in regards to how it impacts the residents of my district. While we're waiting for these conversations, especially for council, Do we have any metrics on how our rate of evictions compare to other larger cities, as well as is there specific zip codes that these evictions are concentrated in throughout our city?
I first just want to upfront say how challenging it is to get that data in California. Evictions are masked. The court is the master of that information. We're very lucky to just get raw numbers, but there's a painstaking way to go through and try to do a PRA and pull all of the zip codes. We're trying to collect as much data as we can because we have the TPO, the Tenant Protection Ordinance, where that requires. Plus, we've gathered all this data in the last 2 years from running the Eviction Help Center. So we're in the process of trying to suss out where is most of this happening. But there was a recent report in Contra Costa County, so there is some comparison county by county. And Contra Costa was up there with us because it has sort of the least amount of tenant protections as compared to Alameda and San Francisco. But it would be interesting to see what the rates of eviction are in other cities, and we can look at that.
So staff is intending to identify some form of that data for us to review?
We're putting together an annual report where we're hoping to show a bunch of that data, more granular.
All right, thank you. That is all my questions.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Kamei.
Thank you. Just a clarifying question. I heard that the court clinic is still going to be ongoing. Is it going to be through the Law Center, the Law Foundation, or did I just hear that wrong?
So I threw a bunch of information at you. So forget, we partner with the court, so the court self-help center is able to put a staff member in this room, the space that we have. Sacred Heart Community Services is there. We're starting next week, someone from the county will actually be there because they have a similar program now, eviction diversion. And then our staff is there to kind of, we get to collect the data. We connect people to information or resource. If it's a landlord, we give them other community service organizations that serve landlords in dispute resolution. But it's intended to be sort of a one-stop shop. Like, you're involved in an unlawful detainer, what are all the resources available to you? So the court doesn't want to host, like, we have a Law Foundation flyer and we have, landlord attorney information, but it's staffed by the self-help center attorneys, which are neutral.
So that's what's going to be continuing.
Yes.
So there'll be information there for anyone who has an unlawful detainer to get information. Because I was looking at the challenge in providing legal assistance, that there's a high rate of attrition of the legal aid organizations, and so is it just whoever shows up and is there and all of that? Because if we're not providing or not able to provide the rental assistance monies, then at least they would get some legal advice from the attorney in terms of what they can do, how they could do it, perhaps what are the options, that sort of thing.
So Law Foundation does have their own walk-in hours, but that's countywide. We have a contract with them for the Eviction Help Center that they staff 3 days a week. Bay Area Legal Aid does virtual assistance the other 2 days for a few hours. We are looking at ways to, because they didn't use all the funding for it, so we are looking to extend that portion. But that's not at the physical court clinic, but that could be continued, in another fashion. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's vote. Thank you, that motion carries. That concludes our formal meeting. Now we have opportunity for public comment.
Blair Beekman?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks a lot for the meeting today. I'm really sorry to be a little strong in my words previous. There's a lot of work you have to do and consider with issues. I wanted to offer, I've tried to offer the beginning of a new administration and time to yourselves that I think I've been working on these things for 8 years at Public Comment Time in San Jose, that you probably are familiar with my words at this point. I'm really trying to learn for this item to talk about the overall issues of technology overall in its many forms, the future of tech and data. There's a future practices of how it can be a more open and accountable process. And I wanted to invite and stress that that to me is really the most important thing at this time, is to really learn how to understand what that conversation is and what is happening. What are those guidelines offering? And it's those forums that really makes for a really important dialogue for a whole community and for our future. And I invite yourselves to look into these practices by the ACLU by studying and working on these things. These are the ways that we develop the future of our community practices and our what is exactly the concepts of innovation. How are you going to talk to the community about all the 5G you're putting in local neighborhoods? It's been driving you crazy, I'm sure. It's the openness and accountability of the process is how you talk about it. If you're going to avoid talking about the depth of what digital tech does and what digital billboards do, that's avoiding all the data involved and how we're really developing good civil protection practices for those things. To be able to simply offer those concepts to the public as part of the process, to talk about things openly, that is so key to our future. Good luck how you can really do that in this upcoming administration.
Back to the committee.
Great. So concludes our meeting. We are adjourned. See you all tomorrow.